What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So hopefully I will be back up to speed by this weekend. I've got a lot of stuff going on, so I do have one of the videos, I think it's the Chelsea West Ham video uploaded, just not saved and detailed and all of that. So hopefully we'll have that done by tomorrow, which will be the Europa League game, which of course I can't watch because, for some reason, these TV stations over in America are slowly dropping everything European. I don't understand. Now, we can't watch any of the Europa League games unless you spend like a crap ton of money and then you get like crappy quality and stuff. I'm not doing all that. So I'm just going to probably try to listen to the live commentary or something on Chelsea TV. But whatever the case, this is the review for the Liverpool game. 1-1 draw. And honestly, pretty deserved in my opinion. Both teams, they had their good moments, they had their bad moments, but overall, the one thing that I'm bringing out of this is I still feel like I'm vindicated in saying that I still don't see that much from Sarri. His decision making has been better overall as far as the decisions and who he puts on the field at the beginning, but his subs are still terrible. And it's like I said, I think I said this at the West Ham game, it's nothing different. It's nothing that's changing. It's still the same exact subs, same exact players every time. And it's kind of frustrating. Because you look at this game, we're up 1-0 after some brilliant play. We're, still going at them a bit. They're coming at us. There's still a lot of moments where we're pretty much riding our luck because, they're just missing chances. I mean, Salah had 2 or 3 that he should have just buried if he wasn't a one-season wonder. Gotcha, Liverpool fans. Oh, salty. Anyway, but, I mean, he really did have some really glaring missed chances. And we're riding our luck, and we're riding our luck, and we're riding our luck. And then in this one, we don't manage to stay lucky. In this case, Sturridge gets lucky and has a brilliant shot out of nowhere. So I'm still kind of frustrated that we're still giving up these chances. And then on top of that, Sarri isn't doing anything to affect the game later on. He's still making the same subs. Now, let's look at the subs really quick. I'm not going to talk about the performance, but you look at the changes that were made at that point. Giroud comes off for Morata. Why? Explain that to me. Because frankly, we need an outlet, and Morata is not an outlet. Now, I realize Giroud may be tired. Maybe that's what's going on. If so, okay, then if you want to give him a break, if you feel like he's not providing, fair enough. But put somebody else on that's going to help us. Leave Hazard up front so that way he can be the outlet, because even though he's not that big, he's still going to cause problems. He's still going to put in a challenge. If you get the ball to his feet, he's definitely going to cause issues. But you bring Giroud off and put Morata on, now you've taken off a big body striker that's going to challenge for every ball for a small body striker that's going to challenge for one ball out of like 20. And so now the ball is constantly coming back at us. It's not nearly as efficient when we get the ball up there because every time we clear it, they win it. And it's right back at us, and it's right back at us. And eventually that pressure is going to pay. And it did. The next one was Moses for Willian, and I completely agree with that one. Honestly, that should have been the first change because Willian, once again, he looked a bit better in this game overall, but he just wasn't providing enough. Moses did really well in midweek when we played Liverpool, so I completely agree to bring Moses on. He's got fresh legs. He's got a lot of energy. I agree with that change. And even then, he's a bit more defensive-minded than Willian is too. So I completely agree with that change, but it should have been the first one. And then the last one, which I feel like it came after, was it before the goal? I think it came before the goal, is once again Barkley for Kovacic. I don't understand this change. I really don't. It's the change he makes every single game, and I don't understand it. Because you're taking off Kovacic, who is a good box-to-box player. He does both sides of the ball very well. He tracks back, he puts in a good challenge, he's very skilled on the ball. Box-to-box player. Barkley, clearly just an attacking player. He works hard, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the hard work he puts in, but he's not smart. He's not a good defensive player. So when you're making this change, you're pretty much making a like-for-like change, except you're taking away some of the defensive capabilities. And you're one goal up. And I don't understand that. I don't understand where in his thinking he thinks, oh yeah, this is a good change. Because it's not. It hurts us every time. And it's shocking to me that he still doesn't see it. The change to make in that game is to bring on Zappacosta or bring on Cahill. If you bring on Cahill, you put him in defense, you move David Luiz up into the midfield, maybe take off either Jorginho or Kovacic and have David Luiz sit in the middle of the three midfielders. Let him be that kind of playmaking / defensive player, because he can do that pretty well. I mean, he's a little bit crazy sometimes, but hey, you want a playmaker in there? He can be a playmaker if you need him to. And he's a bit better defensively and stronger, definitely, than Jorginho, so maybe he can do it. So if you're looking to be more defensive, that's one change you can make. Another one, if you're going to bring Barkley on because you want him to get better, bring him on for either Jorginho or Kanté. Because the thing is, if you want more going forward, if you want to keep more possession, you take Kanté off, which I disagree with that one. But if that's what you want to do, if you want to try to defend by keeping the ball, put Barkley on for Kanté. Because Kanté's not going to help you keep the ball as much. If you want to be more defensive, you bring Jorginho off, push Kanté back in that midfield role because he's played there for France when they won the World Cup. And then now you've got Barkley going box to box, and you leave Kanté in the middle to just be the destroyer that he is. But bringing off Kovacic and putting Barkley on is pretty much just a like-for-like swap. It's the box-to-box player, except Barkley isn't as good as a box-to-box player as Kovacic is. And that's the thing, is you're looking at all these changes. Murata for Giroud, it's a striker for a striker. Moses for Willian, it's a winger for a winger. Barkley for Kovacic, it's a box-to-box player for another box-to-box player. All of them are same changes. There's nothing to adapt. There's nothing to adjust. And that's my biggest frustration. He doesn't change anything. He just makes these subs because he wants fresh legs. And that's it. So, I know I talk about him a lot, but honestly, I just don't see any change. And while we've been doing okay because we have very skilled players, as far as winning the league or winning any trophies this year, it's going to be very difficult because these other teams know how to adapt and adjust to certain situations. Man City, I mean, obviously they haven't had a great start to the season because that little bit of hangover that most teams have after winning the league, it's happened to them for sure. But they still have found ways to adapt and adjust to what they need to. And they have the players to do it. We have the players to do it as well. We have so many different types of players that we can throw into these different positions. We can adjust the formation. We can be more defensive or more attacking if we need to be. But he's not doing that. He's keeping the same exact formation, and he's just switching out players based on roles. And it's helped us in a couple games because he's brought on players that are better in that position than who they're taking off. But then in games like this and against West Ham where we needed to make a change, we needed to adapt based on what we had going on, he's not done anything to change that. It's just the exact same. And it's killing us. Because where Liverpool was just getting the momentum, eventually that's going to lead to a goal. So you got to find a way to break that momentum, and what happens is we don't. We don't break the momentum. We let them try to build up. And the other thing that really pisses me off, and this is not something that's Sarri related, it's more something that our team has done for the past several years. Whenever we're in a situation like this where it's 1-0 and we're just trying to hold on, it's like in our minds, the thinking process is, oh, we're going to slow down the game and that's going to help slow down their momentum. What it does is we slow down the game. Like the ball goes out of play, we walk over to get it, shot comes in, keeper saves it, he's slow to get up. But what ends up happening is that slows down our play as well. And so now our passes are slower, our defending is slower, and then all of a sudden we give up a goal. And it's like, well, how did that happen? Well, maybe don't play slow. Now, if you want to try to slow down the momentum, that's fine, but you still have to keep your play, your tempo up. And they don't do that. And I don't understand why that happens. I don't understand why mentally you can't see that and adjust for it. So that's just the big thing for me is adjustment, adapting to situations. It's just not there. And Sarri's not doing anything about it. He is, I think, the core problem for the adapting and adjusting, because you look at his subs, he doesn't adapt, he doesn't adjust, he just switches out players for fresh legs, and that's about it. So, with all that being said, individuals, I mean, honestly, kind of difficult to look individually just because, for the most part, everybody had their highs and lows. I mean, you look at Kepa, not much he could have done for the goal. Didn't really have that much to do because most of the shots were kind of poor shots. He did make one really good save that I remember. It was pretty close. Was it Keita, I think, that broke in? I can't remember who broke into the box because this was like 3 days ago. But really good save down to his right. Got down quick, pushed it wide. So he did have a couple good moments, but overall he wasn't tested as much as I think Klopp would have wanted them to test him. You look at the defense, it was still pretty sloppy overall, but there were good defensive moments as well. Azpilicueta still looks kind of iffy from time to time. Attacking doesn't really provide much either. Rudiger still very strong at times, but also a couple times just got beat because he wasn't paying attention. Because he's got the speed to keep up with pretty much everyone up there. It's just sometimes if he's caught ball watching, player gets in behind him, and it's hard to catch up at that point. David Luiz still has his crazy moments, but also still has some good moments on the ball that, Sarri obviously loves. Alonso, probably the most quiet of the defenders, both attacking and defensively. Just don't really remember a whole lot from him. And it's something where he started off the season pretty well. A lot of people were talking about, yes, he can totally do this. And over the past 4 or 5 games, he's just been completely silent. And so it's kind of once again justifying what I was saying over the summer. We need to get a left back because he's not actually a left back. And especially with how attacking the fullbacks have to be in this system, I don't think he has the legs to do that all game. Do both sides of it. Because as a wing back, he was able to get away with not always getting back and defending. He can't get away with that now being a fullback. So it's hurt him a bit. In the midfield, honestly, I'm trying to remember because it was so long ago. Jorginho, I feel like he had a good game. I don't really remember a whole lot from him, but that doesn't mean that he didn't do his job well enough because he's more of the silent distributor, just keeping the ball moving in the midfield. Defensively, I never really see much from him. He's always in the right lanes, but he's not really the hard hitter that Conte is. Conte, once again, quietly doing his job. I know he didn't really step out quick enough to close down Sturridge for the shot, but, one mistake out of how many games? Honestly, he's one of those players that even when he does make a mistake, you feel like it's a blip, and it's not going to happen again for the next several games. And even times when he makes mistakes, there are other times when he just shuts it down right after he makes a mistake. He gives the ball away, and then he goes and tackles and wins it back. So, honestly, he's one of those players that I'm going to grant him a few mistakes every now and then just because of how much work he puts in and how much he does for the team. And on top of that, he's playing in an entirely new position that Sarri is just not helping him out at all. And he's just doing his job still, just trying to help the team. So, Kovacic, I do remember him being very creative on the ball again. I still don't know why he's one of the subs that comes off, just because of how creative he can be and also how hard he works. To win the ball back, to stay on the ball. I don't know why he's not rated higher by Sarri. I mean, I would love to keep him because of how good he's being right now in the midfield. And then the front three, Hazard, top of his game again. He did fade out a little bit near the end when we needed him to sort of step up a bit more and help us keep the possession, help us keep them from coming back at us a bit. Giroud, like I said, maybe he was getting a bit tired in the second half. Completely understandable because he's not the most athletic in a pacey way. Obviously, he's very strong and he can get off the ground very well. But as far as his speed and his stamina, they're not the highest. So he is the type of striker that if he's running around all game, he's going to fade out. It's going to happen. So I do see that he might have been tired in the second half, and maybe that's why the momentum was starting to shift a bit more because we weren't able to get it up to him as much. But I feel like he's going to give you something. Even if he's tired, he's still going to work his butt off and give you something. And that's not something I ever see out of Morata. When Morata gets tired, he's even more silent than he was before. So, and then Willian, like I said, he's been on a bit of a rut where he's just not really been effective. He hasn't been doing anything productive. and I don't really remember much from him in this game either. So kind of concerned that Pedro out, this is your chance to step up and take the role, and he really hasn't done anything about it. And honestly, Moses over the past 2 games has looked a bit more productive than he has. So it might be a chance that Williams being slowly pushed out, and I don't want that to happen to him because he's been a good servant for the club for a long time. But unfortunately, he's just not providing enough from the wing. And then you look at the subs. Murata, came on, had that one little spurt again, and that was about it. Moses came on, was very energetic, but not really effective in his energy. There's a time where you're working hard, which is great, but you need to work effectively as well. And I don't feel like he was. I don't feel like he was providing enough. And then Barkley, kind of similar, except for him, it's been all season, whereas Moses, it's just been this game. But all season, it feels like Barkley has had the energy, he's had the work rate, but it doesn't feel like he's always productive with it. It feels like at times he's just kind of running into nothing. So I want to see a bit more from him. I want to see him not just working hard, but also being effective on the field. Because why else would you put him out there? It's one thing, Conte works hard, but he's also very effective at what he does. Barkley is just working hard. He's not really being that effective for the team, defensively or offensively. So I don't know. I mean, it's a good result for where we are now. It's still early on, new coach. It's still very early days, and I get that, and I know a lot of people have been saying that. Oh, come on, it's still early for Sarri, but at the same time, based on where we were in the game, the position that we were in, we're up a goal. It felt like we were in comfortable control for a little bit. To see us not make any changes, and then the subs don't really change anything, and Liverpool, meanwhile, are making changes that have been affecting the game positively for them, and then they managed to get one back late. It's just kind of a kick in the teeth, and it's something that shows we are just as good as Liverpool. And so at home, it feels like we should be able to edge the game and get the win. And instead, we give up a late equalizer because we're not really... The coach and the players aren't really doing enough by the end of the game to keep us in the lead. And so, will it be something by the end of the season we'll have this game in lockdown? Maybe. We'll see. But right now, I feel like all of my fears are continually being reaffirmed every time I watch, because it's like every time I watch, the same exact mistakes keep happening. The same exact problems I have with Sarri keep happening. Same exact players that I have problems with keep showing up. So... yeah, it's how I feel. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.